The Duchies of Vinci are an army of highly advanced humans assisted by their robotic automatons. On the battlefield, they rely on ranged warfare using crossbows and cannons, supported by the more resilient automa. The Vinci were once a collection of poor villages who discovered the intelligence-enhancing Mind Stones in the aftermath of the Rift. The Vinci have gained great wealth and knowledge, but guard their secrets and their Mind Stones closely to protect themselves from poverty. However, over time, their isolationism has fostered a rivalry between the duchies, causing them to stagnate.
Hey everybody, it's World Boss Fitz back again, and today we are going to talk about the duchies. Can I sum this army up in a few sentences? It is a Age of Fantasy army that wants to act like a grimdark future army, who are going to focus mostly on turning the enemy into a pincushion with more crossbows than you ever thought were possible. With that out of the way, let's jump right in the way we like to do. We're going to look at the special rules first. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. Some of them are attached to specific units, and I'll go over them as the units come up. But we're going to go over the hero stuff and the spells. So, starting at the top, Artillerist. You're going to be able to get this on your Scholars. Once per activation, pick one friendly unit with entrenched within 6 inches, which may either immediately shoot or move by up to 6 inches. This is going to be your artillery unit. So, having this guy around is going to let your artillery shoot twice in one turn, or possibly more if you have more than one artillerist just hanging around your artillery. At the double, once per activation before attacking, pick one other friendly unit within 12, which may move by up to 6. This is in a lot of places with other armies. This is just a mobility ability. Mobility ability. I can't believe I got that out right on the first try. Just lets a different unit other than the one that your hero is in move by up to 6. Augmented Bolts. Once per activation before attacking, pick one friendly unit within 12 inches, which gets AP plus 1 next time it shoots. When we go over different units, there's going to be different war gear that the units can take that will already buff their AP. So this guy leading a squad, you could be having AP 2 crossbows. Another big one for this army is Automa. There's a lot of drones and clockwork stuff in this army. That's what's going to have this rule, and we'll go over it when we go through those units. Whenever this unit fails a morale test, it counts as passed instead. Then roll as many dice as remaining models /tough with this rule, and for each result of 1 to 3, the unit takes 1 wound, which can't be ignored. The key with this, which is an update from the last version of one-page rules, is that whenever this unit fails morale test, which means the unit gets to take the morale test and attempt to pass it on its own. But if it fails that morale test, then this rule kicks in. Precision Fire. This model and its unit get plus 6 inch range when shooting. Self-explanatory. Repair. Once per activation, if within 2 inches of a model with tough, roll 1 die. On a 2-up, you may remove D3 wounds from that model. This is going to be on a piece of war gear where a guy's running around with a little helper with a oil can and a monkey wrench fixing stuff. Takedown. Once per game, when this model attacks in melee, you may pick one model in the unit as its target and make one attack at quality 2+ with AP 1 and deadly 3, which is resolved as if it is a unit of 1. It's a melee deadly 3 sniper type attack. And then warning cry, enemy units can't be set up within 12 of this model when using ambush. Self-explanatory right there. Now for spells, Choking Fog 1, target enemy unit within 12 takes 3 hits. Fury Herbs for 1, target friendly unit within 12 gets plus 1 attack next time it charges. Clear View Leaves. Target 2 friendly units within 12 inches. They get plus 6 inch range next time they shoot. Deep Rot. Target enemy unit within 9 and it takes 1 hit with AP 4 and Deadly 3. Mesmer Oils. Target 2 enemy units within 6. They get -4 next time they advance or -8 next time they charge or rush. Neurotoxin Gas. Target enemy unit within 18 takes 1 hit with Blast 9. Now, we've seen this with most, if not all, of the other armies we've gone over. It starts with small single hits and then ramps up in the buffing and attacks into the enemy unit. They all do exactly what they say. This army doesn't have the best casters. I think the best you can get in this army is a caster 2. So don't expect to be throwing around Mesmer Oils or Neurotoxin Gas every turn. But if you roll well enough, it's possible. Just don't rely on it with this army. So, unit time. Let's start off with Militia. 10 of them. For quality 5, defensive 5, they all have hand weapons for 1 attack apiece. You can upgrade the hand weapons to halberds, which give them rending, or spear, which gives them counter. Counter in Age of Fantasy means if you get charged, you get to attack first. And you also negate any impact hits your enemies do. You can upgrade 2 models to have a crossbow drone or a saw blade drone. Crossbow drone at 12 inches gets 2 shots with rending, and the saw blade drone gets 2 attacks with rending. And then you can give them the sergeant, musician, and the banner. The sergeant gives one of your models +1 to hit. The musician means that your unit can go +1 extra inch whenever it moves. And the banner means you get +1 to your quality checks whenever you take a morale test. That will be in every one of these units. Whenever you see a sergeant, musician, and banner, that's what they do. This is going to be your bare bones basic melee squad. This will be used to clog up avenues and hold the enemy in place. And for that, I would suggest putting spears on them. It is a 20-point investment for 10 guys. For a full unit, it'd be a 40-point investment. Using them as a screen and making them be able to attack first, I think is the best bet to do with them. So, moving on. Harlequins, quality 5, defensive 5. 5 clubs for 2 attacks apiece at AP1, and they have the Trickster rule. The Trickster rule means whenever you get into combat, you roll a dice, and on a 1 to 3, all of your attacks have rending, and on a 4 to 6, all of your attacks have +1 AP. And then for their upgrades, the only thing you could do with them is you could replace all of their clubs with juggler bombs, which gives them a 12-inch 1 attack AP2 grenade, and they get a knife for 1 attack. If you want to give them the juggler bombs to sit around the back as like a counter attack force in case anybody jumps into you, ambushes you, or flanks your units, these guys are going to be a good counter charge unit, whether you want to give them clubs or a juggler bomb in case anybody ambushes on you or goes around a flank. These guys should be there to answer whatever the enemy throws at your back line. Assassins. Quality 4, defensive 5 with 5 dual arm blades for 2 attacks apiece. They have ambush and stealth, which means these guys can pop up anywhere. And then with stealth from over 12 inches away, they are -1 to shoot them. They only have 2 upgrades, which is poison blades, which gives their attacks poison, and throwing knives, which gives each of them a ranged attack at 12 inches. Which I wouldn't worry about the throwing knives because my experience with ambushing units, they're going to pop up, charge, and then die on the counterattack. Poison blades, that's up to you. In case you're fighting anything with regeneration, go ahead and take that to mess with their regeneration roll. Automa drones. You can have a whole unit of the drones that you're attaching to the other units. Quality 4 with defensive 5. They start off with the twin saw blades, 2 attacks apiece and rending. They have automa and flying, so they don't care about what the terrain looks like. And then you can replace the twin saw blades with the twin bows, 2 shots at 12 inches with rending. Which, if you're going to get these guys, I would suggest using the bows just to synergize with the rest of the army. Everything else is going to be shooting. You're going to want to have drones shooting as well. Arena Guard, 3 of them for 125 points, quality 5, defensive 4, 3 dual claws at 4 attacks, AP1 at rending. They are flying, they are good shot, and they are tough 3. You replace the dual claws with a 2-shot crossbow, 24 inches with rending, and a bash, just give them 2 regular attacks. Then you can replace any of the crossbows with a short bow that gives them 4 attacks, 12 inches with AP1 and rending. But if you keep the crossbows, you can give them flame bolt for +1 AP, or the heavy bolt, which ignores cover. Whereas only 3 of them, they can fly. I'd use these as a harassing force. Definitely giving them the crossbow upgrade, and then probably give them flame bolt too, just to give that crossbow an extra +1 AP. Jump them around the edges, fire off at anything the enemy's trying to hide, or move around the flanks trying to hide and get into your soft under bits. Automa Guard, quality 4, defense 5. 5 arm bows for 12 inches with 1 shot and rending, and 5 hand weapons for 1 attack, and they have the Automa rule. Now their only upgrade is you can give them regeneration. Pretty straightforward. They are little battle droids with crossbows. Relatively cheap, and with the Automa rule, they're not going to fail the morale test and run away. They might crumble, but they won't just run off the board. So a 70-point unit I think would be great for holding an objective as you push past it. These guys are good enough to just let sit on it. And with the Automa rule, in case there is any counterattack or an ambushing unit, unless they can straight kill this squad in one go, Odds are you're going to, at worst, keep that objective contested while you double back to take care of it. City Guard. This will be a mainstay of the units if you build this army. Quality 5 and defensive 4 with 5 crossbows, 24-inch, 1-shot rending, and 5 hand weapons. They each have 1 attack apiece. They have the good shot rule, which means in shooting they hit on a 4 instead of a 5. Good shot means for shooting they get quality 4. Now for these guys, you can replace all the crossbows with a short bow, which gives you a 12-inch range, 2 shots apiece, AP1 and rending. Or you can upgrade all the crossbows to either have ignores cover or AP1. You can give one model in the squad of 5 one of the drones, either shooting drone or a close combat drone. I recommend the flame bolt to give them AP +1, and then if you really feel like you need it, go ahead and take a leader with the augmented bolts to make their AP +2. That way you can have these guys gunning down the enemy like they're using black powder rifles. And again, like I said, this will be the mainstay of your army. This is the foot troop of the duchies. Scouts, quality 5, defensive 5, 5 hand weapons for 1 attack each, and 5 rapid hand bows, 12 inches, 2 shots with rending. Scouts, so they move 12 inches before the beginning of turn 1, and signal flare. Signal flare is they look at an enemy within 18 inches, and the next time a friendly unit shoots at them, they get +1 to hit. And they can be upgraded with wings to give them flying and ambush, or metal spurs to give them an impact hit. A couple squads of these guys, keep them small, keep them cheap at 140 points. Pointing at stuff for your city guard with their AP2 crossbows means that those city guard are going to be hitting on a 3 with AP2. So just a couple ways that you can multiply the damage with this army. Snipers, 3 of them. Quality 5, defensive 4, 3 hand weapons for 1 attack apiece, and 3 snipe bows, 30-inch range, 1 shot with rending and sniper, so they hit on a 2, but they're slow because as you see, they're carrying around these giant pavash shields with them. There's no upgrade for the unit. They kind of do what they say on the tin. They just hide and they shoot rending shots to hit on a 2. Yeah, not much more else to say about them. Automa Brutes. In case you ever thought a sphere couldn't look cool. Quality 4 and defensive 3. They have 3 brute lances, 3 attacks apiece at AP1, 3 heavy hand bows, 18-inch range, 4 shots apiece with rending. Now the only upgrade you can give them is you can give them regeneration. And for 30 points on this squad, I'd put regeneration on them because they're going to be moving up the field. They're not a close combat unit, even though they do have 3 attacks at AP1. They are a shooting unit. They have 18-inch range, 4 shots apiece with rendings. You're going to get 12 shots out of this squad of 3. And with the defensive 3 and the Automa rule, just start moving them on turn 1 towards your enemy's deepest objective and tell them good luck stopping this. Especially in Age of Fantasy where AP is harder to come by. Automa Cavalry, quality 4 and defensive 4. Now you get 5 guys in this unit as opposed to the next cavalry unit where you only get 3. 5 lances with 1 attack apiece with lance, which means whenever they charge, they get AP +2. So they are fast and have impact 1. The only upgrade you could do is you can replace all the lances with rapid hand bows and hand weapons to give them a shooting attack, which is 12-inch, 2 shots with rending. Now this, if you want a fast shooting cavalry unit, yeah, this would be the way to do it. They are relatively cheap. Given those 5 guys hand bows, it's only going to be 135 points. They would make a great harassing unit. Heavy Cavalry, quality 4 and defensive 3. 3 lances with 1 attack apiece with lance, then 3 metal tusks with 1 attack at AP1, fast with impact 2 and toughness 3. They have no upgrades. They are just mechanical warthogs. They're going to be used primarily for their impact attacks because as far as regular attacks, once they're in combat, it's not that great. Whenever they're in an ongoing combat, it's only going to be 1 attack with no AP and 1 attack at AP1 because you don't get the lance rule unless you do the charging. So these guys are great to run in there and knock over some enemy as they charge in, but if they're in there and the enemy's not dead, definitely try to support them with some shooting attacks. Then we have the Vita Area. Yeah, that sounds about right. Quality 4 with defense of 2. Crew attack for 3 attacks. Crossbow crew for 24 inches. 6 attacks with rending. It has flying and tough 6. So this is a flying tank. You can give it a scout ability, and you can also give it the bombing run. And bombing run, what that does is whenever you fly over an enemy unit, on a 2-up, the enemy takes 3 hits with AP 1. If you have this model, just float your way over towards the enemy and just keep crisscrossing their lines every turn, dropping bombs on them. Just getting that extra 3 AP 1 hits, along with your crossbows just firing off the top of it. The support wagon, quality 4, defensive 2. 2 hoof attacks and a repeater crossbow, 18-inch range, 6 shots with rending. Toughness 6 and transport 11, so you can carry an entire squad of something inside of this guy. And then you can replace the crossbow with a light mortar. 24-inch, 2 shots, AP 1, blast 3, indirect. This is going to be like an APC in a Grimdark army. If you want to keep your guard protected, stick them in this baby. Move them forward and then get them out towards the end of the turn so nobody else has the chance to shoot at them or charge into combat with them. In Age of Fantasy, that defensive 2 is going to go a lot further than it is in Grimdark Future. So yeah, once you drop the guys out, run this guy around harassing people with that crossbow. With the 6 toughness and the 2-up save, he's probably going to be around towards the end of the battle to go sit on an objective. The Kero Armato. God, this one sounds Japanese. Quality 4 with a defensive 2, a repeater crossbow, 18 inches, 6 shots rending with a cannon array, 24 inches, 3 attacks at AP 2. It has Fear 2, Impact 6, Protected, and Tough. Now, Protected means that it reduces the AP of anything going against it by 1 down to a possible AP 0. So if somebody has AP 1, you just ignore it. No upgrades, you get what you get. It does what it says on the tin. It is a tank with multiple tiny cannons and a big old crossbow sticking out of the top. Again, in Age of Fantasy, just move this thing towards your enemy's deepest objective, firing off the whole way. Artillery, this is a fun one. The Vinci Artillery, quality 5, defensive 5, crew with 3 attacks, and a Ribaldiquin. Man, these are so Italian. They're probably not. I'm probably just offended half of the Mediterranean. But 18 inches, 6 shots at AP 1. They're entrenched, good shot, immobile, and tough. So they're going to hit on a 4 with those 6 shots. And then if there's an artillerist around them, they're going to be able to fire 12 shots a turn, or maybe even 18 shots a turn at 18 inches with AP 1. It's just something to think about is the artillerist sitting around your guys here. You can switch out the weapon for a spin guard, 30-inch, 2 shots, AP 1, blast 3. A heavy spin guard, 30-inch, 2 attacks, AP 2, deadly 3. A heavy mortar, 36, A2, AP 1, blast 3, indirect. Or a scout slingshot. I'll put this up on the screen. Oh man, this is if someone took the Goblin Doom Diver and took it seriously. 24-inch, A1, AP1, deadly 3, sniper, and indirect. So she's going to hit on a 2 with AP1 and deadly 3. They're going to hit on a 2 from behind cover with indirect. I mean, just because it's me, the Scout Slingshot is just the obvious, hands down choice here. But depending on the army you want, either some indirect guys if you're sitting behind your wall of spears of your militia, or if you have a good gun line, stick with a Ribaldiquin. I swear, I get these right towards the end. Ribaldiquin. That sounds right. Yeah, Ribaldiquin equals gun line. Then finally, every army seems to have them, the Vinci Titan. Now this one is the Bear Titan. There's also the other model option for a Bull Titan, which I'll put up on the other side here. Quality 2, defensive 2. It has a cannon array, 24-inch, 6 shots, AP 2, as well as a heavy mortar, 36 inches, 2 shots, AP 1, blast 3, indirect. A mouth cannon, 18-inch, 1 shot, AP 2, deadly 6, and a Titanic Stomp, 12 attacks with AP 2. Fear 4, because this thing is real scary. Toughness 24, and transport of 21. Now, it's got no upgrades, and she starts out at 1,305 points. This is going to be one of those units that you walk towards an objective and you're going to get there. You're going to do it. Just march forward, firing your cannons, and if anything is dumb enough to get into close combat with you, just step on them. No, Titans are fun, but we usually don't see them in normal-sized games. Now we go to characters. We have the Vinci Leader, quality 4, defensive 4. He's carried around a heavy hand weapon for 3 attacks at AP 1. He's a hero with tough 3. He's kind of bare bones as far as a character starting profile goes. Now, the upgrades, you can give him the takedown rule, the precision fire rule, at the double, or augmented bolts. My suggestion would be not to use this guy for the augmented bolts. We'll use the other guy who's going to be cheaper, and you'll see. Now, he can replace his heavy hand weapon for a heavy lance or a poisoned arm blade. And you can also give him an advanced rapid hand bow, or an advanced hand bow, or an advanced crossbow, depending on which kind of unit you want to put him with. You can give him a pigeon for warning cry, which means nobody can ambush within 12 of them. You can also upgrade him with a horse or a boar if you want to put him with cavalry or heavy cavalry. And this guy's going to be doing 3 times the amount of attacks as a regular squad member with his lance. He's a good choice to put in with one of those. Or you can give him an Automa bird, which is the picture on the screen. And I have one of these in the army coming up. That gives him 6 attacks at AP 1, defense +1, fear 1, flying, and toughness +6. So it takes him to toughness 9. You cannot attach him to any unit. And I just think the mechanical chicken looks really cool. And then you can also give him a drone, either the crossbow or the saw. Then we have the Vinci Scholar, quality 5 and defensive 5. He has 3 attacks with a hand weapon, and that's it to start with. Now this guy, you can make him into your caster 2, and then this is the guy who I would use with the augmented bolts, just because he comes in at 15 points cheaper to start with. And he is also the character who you can give the artillerist to go hang out, in case you brought any artillery, hang out with them to double their shots. Now you can upgrade him with an explosive gear or a sleeve gun. Nice little tricksy weapons there. One's a blast and one is 2 shots at AP 1. You can also give him a horse to be part of. You can give him a horse to be part of one of your cavalry teams, and you can give him the Automa helper, which is the only way I've seen to get the repair ability in the army. So he could either hang out with the artillery and fix it, or he could be attached to your other units like the Automa brutes. He could be running around with a squad of spheres. He can also have a crossbow or a saw blade drone attached to him. For this one today, we have set up our own little custom scenario. In this scenario, the Duchies of Vinci have figured out that there is going to be a warp rift that opens up right here in the middle of the desert. In the center of the board, where the warp rift will open, is where the demons will deploy. Now, it is a small deployment zone, but remember, every demon unit has scout and ambush, so they'll be able to make the most of it. 18 inches away from the deployment zone of the demons is where the Duchies are going to deploy. This is, I don't really know what to call this. We'll call it Warp Rift Ambush or Waiting on a Rift. I don't know. I'm not very good in the cool names department. Yeah, so it's going to be a King of the Hill type scenario with one objective right in the middle. Either the demons are going to keep the Warp Rift open, or the Duchies are going to shut it down. Let's move on to the armies. This is our Duchies army for today. I'm going to go ahead and post the list up here, and then we'll go into more detail on the spinny thing. First unit will be our mechanical chicken. It's going to have a heavy lance, we have a unit of 10 crossbow drones, a unit of 10 Automa drones, a unit of 10 City Guard led by a Scholar. Now the City Guard have the flaming bolts for +1 AP, and the Scholar has augmented bolts for an additional +1 AP. Then there are 3 Automa Brutes, armed with their lances and bows. Then a unit of 3 heavy cavalry. Then some small changes with the demon list this week. The Harbinger is going to be by himself. The squad of 10 Furies is going to be split into 2 squads of 5. And 2 of the squads are going to have a champion with the extra regeneration, and 1 of them is not. The Duchies deploy their forces around the outside of the board, getting ready to fire a hail of crossbow bolts into whatever comes out of that rift. The demon units arrive in the middle, leaving some in ambush. Before the first turn starts, the demons do their scout moves. Now roll off for the first turn. The demons win the roll, and they're going to go first. Let's start turn 1. The Plague Demons start off with the Harbinger. Looking down the hill that he's on, he sees the drones and casts Rot Wave, hitting them with 6 hits with AP2. The drones fail 5 of their saves, then have to take a morale test. Fail the morale test, and 4 more of them crumble into a heap of gears. Then the Harbinger, saying it's not worth it to charge that lone drone, charges into the Automa Brutes, crashing down into them with his 2 plague swords. But the Automa Brutes stand firm between their armor save and regeneration. The squad only takes 2 wounds. They attack back, causing 2 wounds to the Harbinger, but the Harbinger's regeneration saves them both. Then the Brutes pass a morale test. The Automa Guards move 6 inches and level their crossbow arms at the squad of Furies coming over the hills. Firing off, they're able to make 6 hits. The Furies, after their rending and regeneration, only lose 3, then fail the morale test, becoming pinned. The second squad of Furies charge into the City Guard in the back corner. They're able to cut down 2 of the City Guard, and then the City Guard in return are able to cut down 1 of the Furies and then pass their morale test. The Duchies Heavy Cavalry charges into the squad of Plague Demons in their section of the board, smashing into them with their lances and their boars. After regeneration, they're only able to kill 4 of the Plague Demons. Then the Plague Demons attack back and are able to do 3 wounds to the Heavy Cavalry, taking out 1 of the boars, then pass their morale test. The squad of Plague Demons sitting in the center don't quite know where they're going to be needed most, so they just choose to hold. The leader on the Mechanical Bird charges into that same Plague Demon unit, smashing away 4 of them with its heavy lance and heavy claws. They're unable to do any damage in the attack back, and then fail their morale test and disappear into the ether. The squad of Furies that was pinned chooses to unpin. The Brutes decide to open fire with their rapid-firing crossbows on the Harbinger. They're able to do 3 wounds on the Harbinger, who then fails his morale test and becomes pinned. The City Guard that were in close combat back up and fire into the remaining Furies that are left. And with their AP2 crossbows, they're able to take the remaining 4 out of the game. The second squad of City Guard move forward and fire into the Furies on their portion of the board and are easily able to drop the 2 remaining Furies. The last activation and the last remaining drone of the drone squad follows its programming, goes over the hill and fires at the Harbinger. Somehow, despite the odds, it's able to put 1 wound on the big guy. Before the start of turn 2, the ambushers for the demons show up. The 1 remaining Plague Demon squad deploys towards the City Guard, and the 2 snails deploy 9 inches away from our mechanical chicken. One of the snails charges into the mechanical bird, slathering it with its slime, now making the mechanical chicken a slow unit. It opens its maw and tries to bite the bird, only doing 1 wound. Then the chicken attacks back and is able to cause 4 wounds, meaning the snail needs to make a morale test. It explodes in a cloud of pus. For the Duchy's first activation, the brutes charge into the Harbinger. Using their heavy lances, they are able to take final 2 wounds off the Harbinger as he drops into a puddle of his own filth. The freshly summoned unit of plague demons charges into the city guard. With their dual hand weapons, their numbers of attacks cut them down, killing 9 of the city guard. Then the scholar and the guard fight back, surprisingly able to take down 2 of the plague demons. Then the city guard promptly fail their morale test and run off the board. The heavy cavalry charge into the remaining snail on the board. Between their impact, their lances, and their tusks, they are able to do 3 wounds to the snail. The snail attacks back, and because of the heavy cavalry's heavy armor, they are unable to do any wounds. But the snail passes its morale test, refusing to go back into the rift. The squad of plague demons that were on the objective in the middle see their opportunity and charge into the mechanical chicken. Between their 20 poisoned attacks, they're able to do 3 wounds to the chicken. I realized they had 9 toughness instead of 6. So now it is actually down to 5 toughness remaining. And with its attacks back, does absolutely nothing to the plague demons because it was only able to hit on a 6. The chicken passes its morale test, but it looks like it's going to be surrounded for quite some time. The city guard in the hills moves forward and will have to split their fire because of line of sight. 3 of them firing at the plague demons and 5 of them firing at the giant snail. The ones firing at the plague demons are able to do 1 hit, but the plague demon's resiliency is able to ignore it. Then the 5 firing at the snail are able to put 1 wound on the snail, who then passes his morale test. Last activation for the demons, the snail attacks back into the heavy cavalry, causing 1 wound with its little poison eyeballs. The heavy cavalry attack back, doing no damage, and pass their morale test. If the robots could think, they would praise their creator for not giving them a nose. They move forward and level their crossbows at the plague demons. After their volley of bolts, 3 of the plague demons drop. Last activation for turn 2, the single remaining drone makes a beeline towards the objective in the middle of the board. First activation of turn 3, the plague demons in the back corner charge into the Optima guard, smashing 5 of them. The remaining guards attack back, taking out 2 of the demons, but then fail their morale test, causing 2 more of them to crumble. The unit of brutes move forward and see their commander under attack, so they level their crossbows and fire into the plague demons. But with the plague demons' resiliency, they're only able to take out 2 of them. The plague demons activate that are attacking the mechanical chicken and hit with a large number of attacks, and the mechanical chicken's armor just decides to abandon him as he fails enough wounds to get pulled down by the horde. The city guard in the hills come over the top and level all their crossbows at the snail, firing off the massive volley of bolts they are able to do. But even with this massive volley of bolts, it is still just able to kill the snail, causing 2 wounds, having it explode in a shower of pus in front of the heavy cavalry. The heavy cavalry, after being removed of the scourge of the snail, charge into the plague demons right next to them. Now that they're slow, they're running out of options for mobility. They smash into the plague demons, but the plague demons' resiliency holds out, causing 0 wounds. The plague demons attack back and are able to strip 1 wound off of the heavy cav, who pass their morale test. The little drone that could moves towards the objective again, firing off its crossbows at the plague demon squad and able to kill 1. The remaining Optima drones fire off into the plague demons, causing 1 hit, but the demons' resiliency saved them. First activation, turn 4, the Plague Demons fight back into the Heavy Cavalry, and this time the Heavy Cavalry's armor betrays them. Failing 5 armor saves, they go down into a heap of gears and springs. The City Guard come down off the hill, firing another volley of crossbow bolts into the Plague Demons and are able to take 3 of them out, but the Plague Demons pass their morale test again. The second squad of Plague Demons dealing with the Automa Guard are able to easily rip their mechanical arms off and beat them with them. The Brutes decide that they want to try to wipe out the Plague Demons once and for all, so they charge into the rear of the squad. With their heavy lances, they're able to take out a few of them. The squad of demons then attack back into the Brutes, causing no damage because the heavy armor is finally holding on the Brutes. Then the demons fail their morale test, pop out of existence. The Brutes are then moved on to the objective, and then joined by the little drone that could. So at the end of the game, the outcome is the Duchies are able to close the rift, stopping the demons from coming into this part of their desert. It looks like mechanical might wins out against demonic flesh today. So that's it for the game today, everybody. The Duchies end up winning against the Plague Demons, and my thoughts on the Duchies after this game is they like to shoot, then they like to shoot, then they like to shoot some more, finally to charge into combat and smash stuff with their specialized melee units. So that's it for today, everybody. This is War Boss Fitz saying thanks for coming by. Make sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell every wargamer you know about the fun that is one-page rules. And with the way that the poll is going, it looks like next week we're going to have the Goblin Gnomes fight against the Duchies. This is going to be an interesting fight. We're going to see the little guys who like to steal underpants taking on the mechanical geniuses with their crossbows. Until then, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.